Hi, my name is Christina Lesher, and I'm here to talk to you about building a caregiver's toolbox. You may be caring for a family member who's an adult with special needs or a child with special needs, a parent, a grandparent, someone that has Alzheimer's disease, dementia, and you may be wondering, where do I even start? It seems so overwhelming. You may be confused about the steps that you need to take. Well, I wanted to visit with you and give you some tips on where to start and some things to think about. I want you to build a caregiver's toolbox to give you the power, the confidence to do what you have to do to take care of your loved one. I'm an elder law attorney. I started out as a social worker and ended up going to law school. I was a caregiver for my grandfather. My mother and I took care of him. He had dementia. He was unable to bathe, dress himself. He would wander if he wasn't supervised. Mom and I worked together while we were both holding full-time jobs. I was working as a social worker. My mom was a school teacher. We used services. We had family members help us, and we were able to establish a care plan. We built our own toolbox so that we never had to place him into a nursing home. That's not going to be possible in every case, but I want to share with you a starting place and some things to think about so that you have the peace of mind while caring for your loved one. So, your first tool in your toolbox is going to be a conversation. And it's tough to talk about these issues. I understand. Mom and I, my brother and sister, it wasn't a perfect process. Sometimes we disagreed about how to take care of my grandfather. That it was important for us to talk. And we agreed that we wouldn't agree on every single topic. And we continue to have conversations. You will have to talk to your family. You'll have to visit with the people, your brothers, your sisters, and make difficult decisions. But keep in mind, it doesn't have to happen overnight. You can do it in spits and sputters. You can do it over coffee. You can do it over dinner. You can do it over a period of days, weeks, or months. But it's important to talk and keep talking and be respectful and listen to your family members. The conversation can be a result of something happening quickly. Your father has a stroke. You learn something new about a loved one. They may be diagnosed with dementia, Alzheimer's disease. You may see your mother's memory fading over a period of weeks, years. You may start having conversations at the Thanksgiving table that mom isn't the same or grandpa isn't the same. You've noticed a deterioration since the last time you saw them. As a caregiver, there's no way you can do it all by yourself. So your next step is to bring in your team. Bring in people to help you take care of your loved one. This may be family members, brothers, sisters, people you know from church. It's okay to ask for help. Think about the things that you have to do during the day, and if there's someone else that's going to be able to help you with those tasks. One of the things you may consider doing is having a family friend come in and take your mother, grandmother for an outing. When someone has dementia or Alzheimer's disease, their world gets really small. Friends that they've known for years may not feel comfortable or may not know how to handle the unusual behavior that your loved one has. People with Alzheimer's disease and dementia experience a loss of friendship as their memory deteriorates. Ask those friends that your mom or dad hasn't seen in a while to take them out for a meal or a doctor's appointment. Friends may be wanting to help, but just don't know where to start. So give them a specific task. It's okay to say, hey, could you take my mom out to lunch? That will give you a break. It gives the friend an opportunity to reconnect. You both will have some downtime from each other, and you'll come back feeling refreshed and ready to go forward. All caregivers need to bring on people to their team. Other team members that you may want to consider are care managers. Care managers are usually social workers or nurses who are experienced in guiding families through this very difficult decision-making process. I use care managers in my practice routinely. Some of the things care managers help my families with are figuring out, how do we make home safe for mom or dad? When is it time for adult daycare? When is it time to transition to assisted living or a nursing home? These are all tough decisions, and it's going to help to have a neutral third party to give their opinion on what needs to be done. This is also helpful if you have a lot of conflict in your family. One sibling may feel that keeping mom at home is the best option, while the caregiver may feel it's really time for me to place her into a skilled nursing facility. One of the things care managers can do is bring families together and help make these difficult decisions. You don't have to do it by yourself. There are people available to help you. Another professional that you may want to consider using is an elder law attorney. Elder law attorneys are going to be able to help you prepare legal instruments, guide you through public resources, and help establish a plan of care. When you're assembling your team, think about who's really great with money and who is really great with having to deal with medical decisions. You may have a CPA or an accountant in your family. They may be the best person to handle the financial decisions and the day-to-day tasks such as paying bills for mom and dad, working with insurance companies. You may have a nurse in the family. He or she may be the best person to take mom and dad to the doctor since they have that medical background. It's okay to look at who's in your life and who is best fit for the job. You've established your team. You've brought in your professionals. You have your elder law attorney, your care manager. So your next step, you need to have the paper. And by paper, I mean the right legal instruments to give you the authority to make decisions for your loved one. One of the saddest cases I had in my office was a married couple, really sweet lady. She was a school teacher. Her husband had a stroke. They never had a financial power of attorney because they didn't think they needed one because they were married. That's a very common mistake that I see families make. Everybody over the age of 18 needs to have a power of attorney. Unfortunately for this client, we had to get guardianship over her husband, which required a lengthy legal process that was time-consuming and expensive. I want everybody to avoid having to go through guardianship. So if you're over the age of 18, regardless if you're married or not, you need to have a financial power of attorney. You also need to have a medical power of attorney for you and for your loved one. A medical power of attorney makes medical decisions in case of an emergency, or if you cannot make medical decisions for yourself, or your loved one can't make medical decisions for himself or herself. And it's important to have these documents before the need arrives. I get calls at my office routinely saying, my mom's in ICU. I need to get that financial power of attorney. In most cases, if your loved one doesn't understand what they're signing, then you may have to get guardianship over them, which is a time-consuming and expensive process. Also, if you don't have powers of attorney for financial and medical decision-making, there's a lot of confusion in families on who's going to have these roles. So it's important while you're planning, while you're putting together your toolbox, to think about who is going to be the best. I'm married into a family of engineers. My father-in-law has kept a log of every oil change in his car for the last 10 years. He is on my financial power of attorney. My brother works with people that have acquired brain injuries, and he's amazing in crisis situations. So he is on my medical power of attorney. Pick the people that are going to do the best job. It doesn't have to be the same order in each document. Another document that I have a lot of questions about at my office is a directive to physicians, also known as a living will. In this document, you and your loved one can let your medical power of attorney know what kind of treatment you want in case of an irreversible or terminal condition. I know these are very difficult topics to think about and to talk about. One of the things I tell my families is if you have it in writing and you do it ahead of time, when and if the time comes, it's going to be so much easier. And your family is going to be able to make those decisions with confidence and knowing that they're doing what you wanted to do. When caring for a loved one, eventually you're going to have to talk about the money. It's not always comfortable to think about income and assets and who is going to be responsible for paying for care. One of the things I encourage all families to do is put together a spreadsheet or a list of all the assets, income, insurance policies that a loved one has. When you're thinking about paying for care, it's probably not going to be from just one source. You may private pay for home care, you may have long-term care insurance, and it's going to be important to know when to use your own funds and when to trigger a long-term care insurance policy. If you don't have a long-term care insurance policy for a parent, you may want to think about obtaining a long-term care insurance policy, which can pay for home care, assisted living care, or care in a nursing home. The Medicaid program has special spousal provisions to help protect the person who's living at home from becoming impoverished. Many people are also eligible for veterans benefits, which is a cash benefit. You've had the conversation, you have the people assembled for your team, you have the legal instruments in place, you've figured out the money, you've explored public benefits. So what's your next step? What's the next tool in your caregiver's toolbox? It's to put the overall plan in writing. Work with your team to put together who's going to be making what decisions when, what medication your loved one is on, what are their special requirements. Does your special needs child have a certain blanket or toy? Does your grandfather with dementia, does he like a certain type of music or certain food? What comforts them? What makes them happy? One of the things as caregivers we have to realize is we're not immortal. So think about putting together your feelings and your thoughts about how you want your loved one to be cared for in writing so that others can take a look at it and continue your plan of care that you've established. It's important to review this written plan. I recommend on a yearly basis if possible. Pick a special event, somebody's birthday, Valentine's Day, an anniversary, and pull it out, spend 15-20 minutes reviewing it, making sure everything is in that written document that you want. Review your estate planning documents. Make sure that the right people are listed in the right places. Review the money. Make sure you know all the updated financial information for your loved one. And then go celebrate. You deserve it. You've done a great job as a caregiver. Congratulate yourself and know that you've done everything you needed to do to be a caregiver to your loved one. My name is Christina Lesher, and I hope I've given you some good information today and a place to get started.